Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Oh, can you feel the excitement building? Oh yes, the next chapter of the Psychic Awakening is coming ever closer. And it's safe to say it's got the Wolf Lord's attention peaked a little bit more than the others. The events we are discussing today are from the short story The Feast by Dirk Wenner. And this is a free short story on the Warhammer community website. I'll put a link in the description as always. And as I always say, I really recommend you read the story for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore, for yourself. If you're not familiar with the Warhammer community website, I do recommend checking it out, as it's the best place to keep up to date with news straight from Games Workshop themselves. Not only that, but you also get treated to some great free lore stories just like this one on a regular basis. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, this particular story takes place on Fenris itself, within the mighty walls of the Fang, home of the legendary Space Wolves. And it kicks off within the gargantuan feasting hall, where warriors of the chapter have celebrated their victories since the days of the Legion and Russ himself. And today is no different. The food is plentiful and the drink ever flowing. And then I grabbed that damned orc by the scruff of the neck. Gillir Thunderstone bellowed with a level of glee that reached his bionic eye, and threw him right into the jaws of the Fenrisian wolves. I swear that wretched Xenos howled louder than the pack. Another wave of cheerful laughter ran through the feasting Space Marines, and overflowing drinking horns clashed together. At the head of the table, the great wolf Logan Grimnar listened to the war stories of his warriors and smiled. Even in these dire times, the courage and spirit of his chapter remained untarnished. He took another sip from his horn and adjusted the huge grey pelt around his shoulders. As his eyes wandered along the table, his battle brothers were in high spirits, after facing and defeating a powerful war that had amassed in the Javarian subsector. After everything the chapter had been through in the last century, it made Grimnar even prouder that the wolves still fought on, defiant and unrelenting. Now, I'll be honest, my first thought here was, what, I'm getting a Grimnar model upgrade? But it's actually great to get this moment of the old wolf reflecting on the successes and strengths of the chapter, because like his thoughts say, the wolves have really been up against it the past few years, with their situation getting ever more grim and bleak. But here, still, within the walls of the Fang, their traditions remain true, and the spirit of the wolves, of Russ, remains bright. We know Grimnar's been searching for signs of his Primarch, with the galaxy having been ripped in two, with a Primarch himself once more striding the worlds of the Imperium. How can it not be a sign of the wolf time? How can it not mean a return of Russ? But until that day, Grimnar will remain a shield for the people of the Imperium, and an axe to its enemies. Grimnar then locks eyes with Alvari Gloomwolf, an old rune priest, who, gloomy by name, was gloomy by nature. And today is no different, despite the festivities. The celebrating Gillir Thunderstone calls out the rune priest to join in the celebrations, but is met by a solemn reply. There is nothing to celebrate, and immediately the atmosphere in the room drops. Gillir's temper immediately flares, taking the rune priest's words as an insult to him and his men, that his brothers died for nothing. Alvari tries to defuse the situation with an apology, but doubles down on his words. He wishes no part of the celebrations. His visions remain troubling. "So you disrespect our fallen then?" Gillir snapped, rising from his seat. "Enough," Grimnar snapped. "Speaking to a rune priest like that? There is but one in this room who is disrespectful." The rest of the Space Wolves around the table murmured, but they were cut short as Alvari Gloomwolf suddenly whirled, Lightning danced around the glowing eyes of the rune priest, and his voice boomed. "You know nothing of the things to come, Gillir Thunderstone," he bellowed. The room seemed to become darker as the rune priest strode towards the table again. The victory in the Javarian subsector was futile. The greenskins will return, stronger than ever before. A chill wind howled through the great hall, and the flames in the fireplaces turned green and blazed higher, casting black shadows on the masonry that reminded Grimnar of brutish warriors. "Green trolls are rampaging far and wide," Alvari shouted. His voice was underlined by distant echoes of savage roars and the thunderous firing of ramshackle guns. A green tide is roiling the endless seas. Uncountable are the ships that are sinking, uncountable the warriors that drown in the devastation wrought upon them by the king of the trolls. Upon his throne of dark metal, he throws back his horned head of adamantium, laughing with savage glee. He shouts for more, and in response his warriors come. Like a cyclone he draws them in, the green king of kings, preparing for his ultimate war. The green king of kings returns for his ultimate war. There's only one orc that can be Gazkol Fracker, and you really get the feeling that he's finally being seen as the threat he deserves to be seen as. The orcs have long been said that if they could ever unify enough, the galaxy would be doomed. And it's very nearly happened once before, with the rise of the beast, an orc so immense it took a Primarch, Vulcan, to go toe-to-toe with him. The Imperium teetered on the brink of annihilation, and it could be after all this time that a new beast is rising. Can an already overwhelmed Imperium truly stand a chance? It's a great piece of writing here, really draws you into the hall with the wolves. The respect owed to Grimnar silencing Gillir with a single word. The lightning crackling from the eyes of the rune priest as he prophesies the coming darkness. The wind gusting through the hall and the flames flaring into green. Sets such a great tone. You can really imagine being in that Viking-esque hall with the shadows dancing on the walls. But as the tides of darkness continue to flow from the rune priest's words, and the shadows of the room grow, Logan Grimnar stands, literally and figuratively. While there's breath in his lungs, he'll cower from no darkness. But the priest continues. World after world will fall to the Green King. Weep and despair, for doom is coming to mankind. Suddenly, the flames in the great hall turned to icy blue. Other shadows mingled with those on the walls, shapes of wolves, baring their fangs and pouncing. But where fear raises its head, there is also defiance, the rune priest shouted, spreading his arms. The black wolf comes forth from the darkness of his lair. His strike will be rash, but it will draw blood. The Green King and the Black Wolf will meet, and there upon the precipice of death shall they do battle unto its very ragged brink. The wolf has not howled its last breath. The Green King awaits. Destiny awaits. With these words, Alvari Gloomwolf clapped his hands together, sending a shockwave through the hall like rolling thunder and extinguishing the feasting fires in billowing clouds of choking smoke. With a last wild glare, he spun around and paced out of the room, his dark coat streaming behind him. As soon as he had left the hall, recessed emergency lumens sprung to life, drenching the hall in their red light. The space wolves around the table looked at each other. Gillir Thunderstone opened his mouth, then closed it again and sat down. Logan Grimnar nodded slowly. Well, he eventually said, someone better find out just where in the damned galaxy we can find Ragnar Blackmane. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to hear. Ragnar Blackmane. You're damn right. The Black Wolf himself, the youngest Wolf Lord in the history of the Space Wolves. Belt up, my friends, because the wolves are coming. Oh man, I cannot wait for this. And I cannot wait for the Ragnar Blackmane model. This was all the proof I needed. There's no way on earth they can have a Ragnar going up against a beast-sized, Primarch scale orc without giving him a new model and him crossing the Rubicon. What a great mood setting story this was. It's almost like a trailer for the Psychic Awakening movie. The encroaching darkness and that last line, "Well," he eventually said, "someone better find out where in the damned galaxy we can find Ragnar Blackmane." Just awesome. I mean, obviously I'm going to love it, but for such a short story, it really ups the ante well. Great stuff, it really is, and I hope we get some more. But the question is now, when will Ragnar be crossing the Rubicon? Before or after his encounter with the new beast of the orcs? What do you guys think? And as always, what do you think of the story? Are you as amped for the coming of the wolves as me? And what about the orcs? Are you excited to see the new Fracker model? How much success do you think the orcs are going to achieve? As always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them. A huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support really means a lot to me. It truly does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. If you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.